AI generically would be like salt in food or sugar in sweets in all applications. AI is going to be dominating the purpose and the innovation of all the industries.
What are the three things that the founders should not do while pitching, and three things that the founders should ensure that they do, so that they at least hit the sweet spot of getting the right information?
Not all great startups had a very, very great idea, but they had a great team.
Especially the sales story piece that you said, that is, I think, very less said out loud. I'm sure it runs in the investor communities, but it is not that well known piece that you kind of need to have that person who's going to build that story.
Competition is not this specific. The how do you differentiate? So
Exactly.
therefore, I'm saying ki idea is a great part, but idea can have too many competition. That is an acceptable thing. It is the quality of founder, their team, their integrity to the purpose, and their ability to sell and to have a very strong sales and technology team.
True.
These are 5 tiers. ठीक करके दे दो. I would like to invest everything there.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Fintech Path, will say. Today we are doing a special segment called VC Unfiltered. It is a segment where we invite top VCs across the globe and basically understand what their perspective is about the developing startup ecosystem, specifically what excites them, and their outlook on the Indian fintech ecosystem, and if they want to share insights on their recent investments and many other useful tips, right? So stay tuned. I think this is we have been doing this not that much as I'd actually love it to be. I think this is our 4th episode of VC Unfiltered, or 5th, but pretty sure we'll be doing it more and more frequently. Having said that, please welcome Mr. Hanuman Tripathi, who is the managing partner at Lead Invest today. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Shreyas. Thank you very much.
It's
very
a pleasure
nice
having you.
Meeting you again.
Indeed. So, Mr. Hanuman has essentially an experience of more than, I think, 30 years now, and he's been in the across the industry in the VC space. He has been a part of many large deals, and he has kind of played a pivotal role in powering how Lead Invest kind of looks at the Indian ecosystem from a startup perspective. So, sir, over to you. Would love to hear a bit about your journey. How did you reach where you have right now, and then we'll dive right into Lead Invest, how they look at the fintech ecosystem and all of that. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Shreyas. So, one thing I like about the role I'm performing, and that relates to my profile, is that I have been a 1x successful entrepreneur myself, having promoted more companies later on from one exit. So this has given me what is called as a very clear balance as to how be in the minds of, to understand the minds of entrepreneur, understand what is their passion, and also the expectation of the investor on the other side, because we are trained to see both the sides. And I have also inducted humongous amount of capital from reputed VCs in my previous venture. So I have dealt with investors in past. With this present company, Lead Invest, which was formerly called Lead Angels, from its inception in 2014 onwards, I have been involved as an advisor, guide, of course, on a gratis basis, and I have been their member as an investor, as an angel investor. So that is one part which has been interesting and good from the perspective of my experience and working on the operations side of Lead Invest. But to give you a shorter background, I for my first 10 years, I worked in corporates. I started my career with Forbes, which is now Tata Ensys, if I'm not wrong. And then to SCL, and then I grew in Tata Industries in Nelco, in telecom business, considerably at a very young age. And at that time, I thought that I should probably look at becoming an entrepreneur. So I decided to go and work in a smaller company to understand what happens to founders and what happens to their careers, what happens to the companies. So I joined a company called Trilogy Software as head of their business here as a general manager, de facto CEO, and
Mm-hmm.
that was in banking software. And that opened my eyes towards what is the vast opportunity in as an entrepreneurial role, and also in the business of banking technology. And then I founded a company
Mm-hmm.
called Infrasoft Technologies Limited, which became a world famous company over next 20 years.
Oh
And I
wow.
ran that company as a CEO and founder,
Mm-hmm.
spread that business in 35 countries. We
Wow.
became substantially large with
Mm-hmm.
about 1100 people. And the time I exited the company, it was considered one of the leaders in the three specific fintech segments, or BFSI tech product
Mm-hmm.
services segments. So
Right.
hugely profitable company. It was well invested by VCs and domestic investors.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, when I took a break there, and which was a quite a long journey of 20 years, uh, the only thought which was in my mind was to that I had already worked more than 35 years at that point of time, and I thought that it's probably good to use this experience for the
True.
sake of having to build
Mm-hmm.
younger companies, and
Right.
also assist founders uh, to use that old cliche to give back to the industry from where you have come, you know. And how it had become much more stronger in my view was because uh, I was also nominated on the NASSCOM's executive council as
Mm-hmm.
a chair for building SME council. And
Okay.
SME council means, although it sounds like a very small name, but it had 2000 companies in India
Mm-hmm.
were between 5 and 250 crores on software services side and software product side, which
Right.
had to be nurtured and given the feeling of how to break the glass ceiling and go to
Of
the
course.
next level of becoming a billion-dollar company.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that fantastic opportunity uh, to work with the number of founders, which otherwise I would have not been able to do as an entrepreneur alone.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Of course.
being a part of NASSCOM brand ambassador, and I have been a NASSCOM member for more than 25 years. So it
Mm-hmm.
suited my thought process because I was very aligned to smaller companies to
Right.
work with the industry associations and learn from them and grow.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that gave me a feeling that probably the next career for me
Mm-hmm.
should be having to support a fund which looks after not only the funding of the startups,
Mm-hmm.
but also giving them business expertise, business acumen, giving them scalability, giving them market access,
Mm-hmm.
processes maturity, and so on and so forth. And having dealt with investors for quite some time, I
Mm-hmm.
had understood that this is a little bit of a scarce commodity. It is not easily available.
Mm-hmm.
Investors are most focused on investments, funds are more focused on investment, and to handhold founders to grow the business is
Mm-hmm.
not what they would like to focus on, whereas this can actually be a very very cutting edge. So at Lead Invest I decided to become a full time partner,
Mm-hmm.
and we decided that when we germinate, or when we institute the fintech fund specifically, our
Mm-hmm.
core differentiator will be that we actually handhold the founders to grow their business.
Got it.
So that's about me.
No, perfect. I think thank you so much for the introduction. And from what I understand about your experience, I think it is actually very required in the current state that the startup ecosystem is in. I mean, there are so many entrepreneurs out there who are looking to go out there and build their own companies and grow. And specifically in industries like fintech, it is very what do you say? It is a very difficult industry to scale properly in, because we have to be cognizant about the regulations. We have to be cognizant about how the infosec and all of that piece is shaping up. So there is a need of industry experts and veterans like you who would essentially help these founders navigate all these challenges, not just from the technical perspective, because I think tech can still be sorted, but it's more about how to kind of work alongside regulators, work alongside the government, build sustainably, and not get kind of lost in your enthusiasm, which sometimes can be over enthusiasm, and
Yes.
end up burning out yourself as a person, if not as a company. So I think it is a very much need of the hour, and I'm glad that people like you are stepping up to do this.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Having said that, sir, let's talk a bit more about Lead Invest. What exactly this fund is all about. What are the different sectors that you guys focus on, and then we'll kind of deep dive into what kind of fintech thesis that you have built.
Yeah. So Lead Invest, as the name is today, which is a rebranded entity. This was formerly called Lead Angels, and most of the people in angel investing or in VC circles or even startups of the yesteryears will know this company, because Lead Angels was always known for its ethics, for its righteousness, for being very, very supportive of founders, and of
True.
course taking care of investors' interest in terms of information and updates and so on and so forth. It has been a very uh, professionally run organization now for last 1 decade.
Mm-hmm.
So this organization was founded by a gentleman, Mr. Shushanto Mitra, who I would call him as a pioneer, one of the pioneers in startup investing space, because 10 years back, if you recollect, although the startup investing is there in India for last 25-30 years, but the fact is it was not a matured, structured function about 10 years back.
True.
And for new startups to understand as to how to go about getting funds and having to grow their organizations, Lead Invest has done a pioneering work because of Shushanto Mitra.
Indeed.
So he was the founding CEO of SIGN, which was the Scientific Society of Innovation in IIT Bombay, which actually is one of the first incubators in the country which nurtured student-backed startups. And from there, Lead Angels concept was arrived at. And for first 8 years, this company remained as a network of members. So over a period of time, it created its value by going to the investors, making them members, and then using their funds to go and invest into companies by having to create a platform for companies to come and present. So that's how I also got involved with the company, as several other investors got involved with the company. Now in 2022, it became a formal fund, and it's a SEBI approved CAT1 AIF alternate investment fund, which is focused on startups investing up to 10 crores per scheme, that is per company. And it has certain set guidelines and so on and so forth. We find that this kind of a model is extremely good for investors as well as the companies, the portfolio companies. So in last 10 years, what Lead Angels has achieved, and now therefore it required its rebranding, is the following: that the organization has invested in about 100 companies, and it has one of the best survival rate, with more than 87 companies out of this near 100 number having been there in the marketplace and continuously growing. So the failure rate has been minimal. It has also got an IRR, which is an average IRR of upwards of 35%, 34%. So 34% IRR in a startup fund over 10 years is considered a very good record, because startup funds tend to lose money very quickly.
True.
And it has given 11 exits. It has given more than 15 exit opportunities which investors have not taken. Means investors have found it valuable. And now it is a completely diversified financial services company for private investing, or for not private equity, I would say unlisted equity. So once we realized that the markets were changing in a manner that the investors and the founders, both on two sides of the coin, were having different kind of needs, and especially after I joined in October 19th in 2023, we were re-looking at positioning the organization as a complete financial services house for unlisted equity, primarily because the founders are wanting an accelerated methodology, which is very
Right.
VC like funding mechanism, but at the same time they want the strength of uh, the angel investing, which was earlier a very close proximity with the founders and so on and so forth, the
Got
warmth
it.
of the angel investing, but at the same time very accelerated speed of how VC investing happens on
Got
one
it.
side. On the other, which is far more important from an investor point of view, the investors, because of the stock markets booming up, were
Right.
investing in different kind of financial instruments. They were doing more of unlisted companies invested, means which is, of course, this is not the word to be taken in public called pre-IPO, but it became a very famous word. So I'm just using it
Right.
without any intention. That unlisted equities, which were supposed to get listed over a period of time, that became a far more interest of the market. And also, a lot of our own investments, if we reviewed our own portfolio of near 100 companies, and we realized that our own companies required consulting support, they require business support, and they need to grow to the next level by having to provide next level of funding, and so on and so forth. So we had a specialized consulting arm there built over a period of short period of time, and which did very very good work. Um, we also started having to offer our investors the other options, which were not on startup investing, but the companies which are going to get listed over a period of time, and their shares were available at very attractive proposition in the marketplace. And our investors were extremely happy with this kind of a transformation
Of
which
course.
was happening at our end. Lastly, we realized that a lot of angel funds of yesteryears had not applied to become a fund, and
Right.
they still wanted expertise of a formal, structured angel investing, which happens through a fund structure. And therefore, they started using our platform, our services, and all of that in having to manage their activities without, of course, having to interfere with their customers.
Got it.
So we could keep a Chinese wall between their clients and ourselves, but at the same time provide all the services which were required for them. And it also
Understood.
so happened that many startups of yesteryears, which were going to the next level of VC funding, they found that their cap tables were very crowded with individuals, angels having invested, and now the VCs were finding it very difficult to make an offer to
True.
every angel investor on the cap table.
Right,
It could
right.
be your mama, chacha, daddy, mummy, uncle, friends, father, and of
It was
course
too
the angels.
fragmented.
Yeah?
Yes.
So friends, families, angel networks, so many
Yes.
stockholders in a very small company. So to clean up this cap table, there's a very very good supportive services available as platform as a service, and within, of course, the parlance of what is legally right and to be done in a compliant and regulatory compliant fashion, we offered a PaaS services model. So if you
Understood.
now realize, lead angels was no more angels alone. It was offering unlisted equity. It was offering consulting to grow, larger access to funds
Right.
and markets, and so on and so forth. It was offering PaaS as a service. So we renamed the company as Lead Invest, and we kept the name Lead because we want our investors to be the leaders. We kept the name Lead because we want our founders to lead and be the market leaders. But the angel part has been replaced with Invest. And Invest is primarily to say that we will provide you all opportunities of investment in the unlisted equity front. So that's about our organization.
Thank you so much for sharing all that about lead innovation. I think it is really interesting to see the way it has grown over the last decade. Starting from an angel, a group of angels coming together to kind of support entrepreneurs, to becoming a consulting company, essentially opening up a consulting arm for the founders, and from there to essentially, opening up platform services for other angel syndicates and then becoming a Cat 1 AI fund itself, I think it's a really it's a really natural evolution, while also, it points to the fact that how the ecosystem, the entire entrepreneurship ecosystem has grown over the decade, and how the organization also has grown along with it because of the decisions and the investments that it has made, and obviously the investor confidence, right?
I'm so glad you have said it so well. We should have recorded it for our salespeople.
Thank you. So, having said that, sir, in the current environment, I think one of the most dynamic ecosystems for VCs to invest in has turned out to be the fintech, right? Given how the different sectors are evolving, be it insurtech, be it bank tech, be it your consumer B2C fintechs and wealth tech, and plethora of domains that have emerged, domains and subdomains. Uh, there is an expectation that at some point of time the AI industry will also start booming equally well in India, but it is still in pretty nascent stage. So till now, fintech is something that is one of the most dynamic as of now. Having said that, how do you at Lead Invest kind of look at fintech? What sectors kind of excite you? Are there any specific sectors that you would look towards to probably capture the next 5 years of growth, and if yes, what would those be?
So, important. There are two things I want to tell you quickly, which are off the cuff. Is
Mm-hmm.
not related to our conversation. Is that first that Lead Invest per se is sector agnostic, completely sector
Of
agnostic.
course.
My role or my interest of having to uh, come in a full-time activity in Lead Invest was
Right.
with the view that I would want to set up a fintech fund here.
Mm-hmm.
So when the fintech fund comes in, some of the investments which we are already doing, let's say if we do 10 investments, out of that 3 are anyway fintech,
Mm-hmm.
but the activity which I would like to focus on with a much larger focus will be entirely fintech and
Right.
cutting edge technologies and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So deep tech. So this is one aspect. The second aspect I want to tell you, where you mentioned about AI.
Hmm.
AI per se would may have a standalone role,
Right.
but AI generically would be like salt in food or
Hmm.
sugar in sweets. In all applications, AI is going to be dominating the purpose and the innovation of all the industries. So
True.
you would see humongous amount of AI work happening even in fintech.
Indeed.
So today itself, the very fact that quality of lending, especially the trust factor in peer-to-peer lending, in small lending, micro lending, uh,
Hmm.
uh, BNPL lending, that is
Right.
lending happening to completely unknown phase where a lender is or a bank or an NBFC has not even seen its customer ever,
Mm-hmm.
is happening larger because of the role of AI and
Indeed.
machine learning very very well, and
Indeed.
also the speed is being um, what to say, uh, the entire throttle is being pressed by actually RPA,
Mm-hmm.
the robotic process automation tools which are being used, especially in fintech.
Right.
The highest use of AI, machine learning, and robotic processes automation is actually an origination from the fintech space itself. So,
True.
so if you see how fintech space has developed, it would have been not called by this name had it not been for digital payments.
True.
So what must have happened, like how it happens in consulting industry, that every 5-10 years they need to come out with a new platform or a new parlance in or a new glossary in the industry for
Hmm.
the business to become refreshed and innovative. So from where I came, which was called BFSI Tech,
Right.
to now FinTech,
Mm-hmm.
the whole deliberation or the whole thesis or whole conversation has moved to digital. Yeah,
True.
the use of digital. But the
Yes.
fact is that entire technology platform usage for
Mm-hmm.
in any part of the century, if you see, or earlier, was primarily to automate processes, to have better transparency, to reduce time, and to of course reduce resources requirement, and of course deliver better services, have better profitability, and so on and so forth. But when payments came and it had to be given a new shape, people said that, boss, this is a advent of fintech. This is a new parlance. So what has happened in our industry is that the whole focus has been on lending and payments for quite some time, and over a period of time, what we see, and very especially people like me who have been founders from the same industry in the previous generation to now, is that security, the cyber security part, compliance and governance and risk, these are the areas which are very very important in the fintech space, because we are opening the entire market. Earlier, when you were a account holder in a bank, you were actually operating within a box in which you had once you are an account holder and you are coming to the bank, that is only when you were able to use banking services. Today, anybody and everybody is using a financial services. The moment you have decided to buy a TV and that's on an app, और टीवी तो बड़ा एग्जांपल हो गया, सपोजिंग आपने एक आईपीएल का टिकट खरीदा
Hmm.
and that has costed you a lot of money and you want now to pay in EMI. So suddenly a financial services has appeared there, you know,
True.
and this embedded finance is causing all the changes which are happening into the technology side, and this requires far more governance, far more security, far more cyber safety, and so on and so forth. So we believe that besides the digital lending or payments, the biggest and most important area is GRC, the governance, risk and compliance fabric, and cyber security and security solutions per se, because the 60% of the role of any financial services or a fintech company is only two. One is safe onboarding of the client,
Mm-hmm.
keeping a track that there is no fraud happening into the system, and third, that there is a services delivery happening. So the services delivery arm, which has been opened with humongous amount of innovation happening at the government level, NPCI level, RBI level, SEBI level, in IRDA level, allowing interfaces, that is APIs, to work, allowing marketplace operators and product manufacturers to come together and provide services to the client, is all happening because of APIs.
Right.
So APIs on one side, safe and fraud prevention in the center, which is risk management in the center,
Mm-hmm.
and safe onboarding, KYC, and ensuring that there is a quick action of customer due diligence and putting them into your bucket of having being the ready clients to be served. These are
Mm-hmm.
the three activities which are happening industry agnostic in fintech. तो
True.
इसमें हमें तीनों में फोकस करना है, and all these three are very rapidly expanding industries in the
Agreed.
fintech space. तो पहले सिर्फ बैंकिंग था, फिर NBFCs आए, and अभी insurance tech is a very very important subject.
Indeed,
Very very
indeed.
important subject.
Indeed.
Trade finance is a very very important subject. Wealth management is a very critical area where fintech ka usage is going to change the whole
Right.
method and process and the culture, the way wealth management works in India.
True. So if you were to summarize this conversation to three sectors that you would be, let's say, focusing on in the next 5 years to see the maximum growth for the investors, what would those be?
So lending, of course,
Uh-huh.
cyber security and GRC,
Mm-hmm.
and insurance tech.
Indeed. No, I think that I have heard it resoundingly, across the VC landscape right now. specifically the insurance and the lending piece. GRC, I'm not sure because I talk more with very fintech focused funds, so
Yeah,
that is something slightly outside their scope.
correct.
But insurtech and lending, and specifically as you said, right, trade finance, wala.
Yeah,
The trade
very
finance
important.
piece, the embedded finance piece, and the insurance industry, which was probably 3-4 years behind lending industry when the fintech revolution started happening in 2018
Correct.
2019. It's now catching up and you see a lot of innovations coming in. So definitely I think there seems to be a lot of bullishness, and I think thank you for sharing the detailed perspective. I think it really puts everything into place. Having said that, let's love to move to the next piece, which essentially if you would be kind enough to talk to us about one of the recent fintech investments that you have done as a fund,
Yeah.
and probably a bit of deep dive into your rationale behind what made it happen, what clicked for you, what maybe it was the founders, maybe it was a business model, whatever, those pieces.
So there are many companies to talk about,
Mhm.
but if I talk about something which is recent, one of the things which I personally have focused quite a lot even before joining Lead Invest. I have been a part of Lead Invest or Lead Angels for last 10 years,
Mhm.
but having to open the door and come inside and work
Mhm.
has been, let's say, 1.5 years or little more.
Right.
So even before I came in here and when I exited my last business in financial services tech,
Mhm.
that is Infrasoft Tech, in this interim period, there is one thing which me and a lot of people associated in the industry and founders of mid-sized companies who are all associated because of our NASCOM SME Council and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
We found that in the health insurance space,
Right.
there is one very very big issue as to how does a patient who is sitting there unwell
Mhm.
get a discharge after his bills have been paid. So you please understand what happens to a patient. The patient is unwell, therefore he is in hospital or she is in hospital, and now he is becoming is becoming well and has to come out of the hospital.
Right.
So somebody has to pay for their bills, and
True.
there is an insurance company which at
Mhm.
all points of time will be very 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 sharply focused in terms of seeing that the claims are properly submitted and so on.
Right.
So we found a company called HealSpan,
Mhm.
which presented to us few months back, and we quite like that proposition that they quickly wrapped up this claims submission and claims management process.
Mhm.
And I first thought that is it hospital management or health tech company. I realized it was not so. This was
Mhm.
actually a fintech offering in a big way, because
Mhm.
what they were doing is that they were automating the process of uh, ensuring that when the doctor says you will be discharged today, the time taken by hospitals to discharge a patient is about 5 to 10 hours, sometimes
Right.
the next day,
Mhm.
depending upon what is the size of the hospital. Larger the size, slower is the process. And
Mhm.
this whole bill accumulation and everything being put together, and then that report being submitted to a TPA or an insurance agent company, and then the money to come in approval to come in is a very very long process.
True.
So at 8 o'clock, the doctor has told you that you are off today, you can go home.
Mhm.
Whereas you actually get to go home only at 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. or sometimes next day. And
Right.
God forbid, if it is a weekend, Sunday हो गया और हॉस्पिटल में एडमिन नहीं है, तो आप मंडे को छूटेंगे. ये हील स्पैन ने ये प्रोसेस पूरा जादू जैसा मैजिकली दे कन्वर्टेड इट इनटू a
Mhm.
automated stream, digital stream, that the moment the doctor says you will be discharged,
Mhm.
a discharge report will be ready with all the bills and everything within maximum an hour.
Okay.
And by the next 1 hour, the TPA gets an approval. because these mirror images are shared at all points of time to say that this patient is likely to be discharged, and the
Mm-hmm.
TPA gives the approval in one third the time
Wow.
than what was previously done. So इससे फायदा किसको हो रहा है? फर्स्ट सबसे बड़ा फायदा हॉस्पिटल को हो रहा है,
Hmm.
because hospital is getting its assurance of their insurance payment very quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and their working capital is not getting blocked in having supported the patient and now not getting the money.
Mm-hmm.
Settlements happen much faster from the insurance companies, and the insurance companies are far more safer because they are getting documentation which is verifiable, which is very clean, and it is tokenized in terms of how at what time the bill was raised, and there was no
Mm-hmm.
malpractice and so on and so forth.
Got it.
It has reduced a lot of fraud in claims management and so on and so forth. So this is a very
Interesting.
good company. So why did we invest in it?
Mm-hmm.
Because of this. Before I joined Lead Angels, this thought I had discussed, and many times I had seen that there was a serious gap in this industry, and when we saw this company, we were very impressed. And we also saw that this company had started making revenues
Mm-hmm.
and had the faith or trust of the hospitals, which is very important. They were already in a stage that their revenue was climbing each month.
True.
And the important part was that the founders was a very strong team, or is a
Mm-hmm.
very strong team. So with these three considerations, we invested in this, and I'm
Right.
very happy to say that the company in the next 2 quarters did much better than when we had invested in the
Amazing.
organization. So it means usually what happens is when the companies consume money,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes their growth is not very high.
Right.
It's a basic sense of economics.
Right.
You put money today, it
Mm-hmm.
will not show growth immediately.
Hmm.
Here we caught the company in the right trajectory. It was growing, and it has grown substantially well in last.
That is the most important, right? Timing. When you say, a lot of investors use timing as a metric, and I think that is really important. And overall, I think this sector that you just spoke about, this was largely very unorganized and very
neglected.
monopolistic,
Yeah.
given the number of TPAs being very limited to 2 to 3, the major TPAs,
Yeah.
and the way the papers and paperwork and everything was being handled at hospitals. I think if it was a mammoth task to actually digitize it, tokenize it, and then make it available to all the parties at the same time in a verifiable manner. And if
Yeah.
they've been able to do that, and I think that it is about time. I think this sector is anyways going to pick up. So just being one of the first movers, I think this company will get a huge advantage.
Absolutely.
And the fact that you guys have been able to time it at a stage wherein you got in just before the growth uptick hit, I think that is just amazing. And I think while we are running out of time, and I would love to have you here for more half an hour, 45 minutes, but nonetheless, I have one last final question for you before we kind of wrap up for the day, which is this question comes to not from a perspective of me as someone who's interviewing you, who's an investor, but from a lot of startup founders out there who come to talk to me. And kind of one of the major questions that I hear is what are the things that we should not do when we are funding to the VC for the first time? And many of them are first time entrepreneurs. They have been working in corporates for a decade, or maybe 5-6 years, 10 years, 15 years, and these are people who are knowledgeable, smart, intelligent, but are used to certain ways and certain things of doing. And when they come to invest to a VC, to ask investment to a VC, they essentially fumble, or they essentially end up saying the wrong things or talking about the wrong things rather than the metrics that they should be talking about, to kind of pique the investor's interest, or to kind of get that hit the right sweet spot, so as to put it. So what are your suggestions? What are the 3 things that the founders should not do while pitching, and 3 things that the founders should ensure that they do, so that they at least hit the sweet spot of getting the right information?
So see, you are asking me 6 things. So
Yes.
so मुझे याद दिला देना if I forget.
हाँ जी.
I'm just saying, see, it's very easy to preach, but since I have been a founder myself, and then we have also, as me and my wife co-invested out managing other small companies before I became a GP or a partner in lead invest. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore probably I can do preach a little bit, but I would hate to preach here. I would just say दो तीन चीजें हैं which immediately open up the weakness of a founder.
Right.
One is the part that if you come out with an idea जिसमें आप बोलते हैं that the there's a huge markets, there's a big market demand, and you show that world as a stage or something like that, and then you say my addressable market is so and so. The point is that everybody understands in the VC industry, everybody understands that for a small company to go and tap a large addressable market is not possible. So
Right.
you'll require it's not about money. If somebody gives you all the money on this earth, you need to have that maturity and competence and an org structure, and your
Exactly.
product has to have that kind of a attractiveness that the market will come to you. And of course you have to also understand you're changing buying behavior in many cases, especially in current times.
True.
You are changing the way people transact, and most importantly you are relying on people, and people are the most scarce commodity of the kind of type which you require in certain very sharp areas of product development, marketing, design, and,
Indeed.
and all of that. So the point I am trying to make is that first mistake which a founder should not do is to show the market so hugely addressable market being so large that it looks like a untrue story in the first place. So what we should be able to place very categorically when we are putting our proposition ahead or a deck to say what realistically we can achieve.
Right.
Addressable market is not the right thing, but to say that where you will be able to reach on your own. This is one. Second thing is which the founder should not do is to show that that he is everything in the organization. So the important part is that that the VC industry or any investors would like to see a reliable team,
Right.
and not just a bright spark. They would appreciate a very good scientist or a very good business guy or a very good designer, a very visionary founder, but they would also like to see a very strong execution team behind. So the more you show a P&L which is very self-centric, if you do not have plan for incentivizing teams, or if you do not have multiple founders in the company, or if you are saying that I will wait for money to happen, then only I will decide on following positions to fill up and so on and so forth, or has not even given a thought as to how is he going to create a top management in and around him. He is not seen as a founder with execution ability. He is seen as a damn good, fantastic person, founder himself, but not somebody who can create a very good execution plan.
Makes sense.
The second thing. Third thing is कहीं पे भी shortcut नहीं बात करना चाहिए, because the moment you show in your trait that you can do any shortcut, it gives the fear in the minds of an investor or even an employee for that matter that you will shortchange that person in the organization also.
Right.
So it is very important that you do not only pose, but you be like that. It should be very strong in your character that your integrity, your governance structures, nothing is pierceable, and no activity of yours is questionable. So there are 2-3 things one we should avoid. Because of course the founders who talk too much and they are very self-centric to say that I have done something like this, I have achieved this, I have achieved that, they are probably too eager to talk about their story rather than the organization growth story. So 3 things I'm primarily talking about, and what we should see, conversely, is the same thing. We or most of the VCs would invest into a good team.
Mm-hmm.
If a team is very good, idea can be little lesser also, because a good team can create a perfect brand. It can create a perfect story. Not all
True.
great startups had a very very great idea, but they had
Mm-hmm.
a great team. That is most important part, most important part. If you have a very good team who are willing to stick around and ready to take responsibility in right manner and
Mm.
implement right processes, right people over a period of time, their ability to work with more superior people than themselves,
Indeed.
which is very very important. This is one. Second
True.
thing is, who will sell in the organization.
Mm.
So हम कुछ भी कर ले, product designing, building the solution, maturing it, that cycle is absolutely appreciated. So the two elements which we would always watch out for,
Mm.
that who's managing your sales story.
Right.
Is your story really sellable? Are
Mm.
people buying? And second, who's your CTO? So if you are not a CTO as a founder, then who's your CTO and
Mm-hmm.
who's running your sales? Very clearly. That is second. Third thing, very clearly in lead angels, especially after I landed up, we were very clear that we will focus on customer approved stories only. In the sense,
Mm.
if a client likes what you are doing, and we can replicate this story among various clients, and every client in this space, especially it is possible. It's very easy to do in SaaS B2B space,
Right.
that you have a client accreditation. They
Mm.
they have a client approval of acceptance to say that this is a good solution,
Mm-hmm.
then it is a good solution. If
Makes
multiple
sense.
clients have not seen sense in what you are driving, then
Mm-hmm.
it could be your vision, but which an idea whose time has not come. And
True.
sometimes it is also possible that this idea may be excellent for some other market,
Mm.
but we are investing in India, so we have to be focused to see whether it works here or no.
Right.
So these are the three things here.
Perfect. No, I think this is really helpful and insightful, and especially the sales story piece that you said, right, that is I think very less said out loud. I'm sure it runs in the investor communities, but it is not uh, that well known piece that you kind of need to have that person who's going to build that story. If it's not you, then that person needs to be someone who can build, narrate, and sell your story for you,
Absolutely.
and that is one of the most difficult jobs to do.
Yes.
True.
Absolutely. So if a
Hmm.
founder has got, let's say, a right kind of an idea, it may not be top class, because
Hmm.
if you remember right from your very childhood days to my childhood days, which was much longer back,
Hmm.
to now, कुछ चीजें अभी भी चेंज नहीं हुई हैं.
Right.
आप एक स्ट्रीट पे जाओ, आपको सारे ज्वेलर्स एक ही लाइन से दिखेंगे.
बराबर.
आप एक स्ट्रीट पे जाओ, खाऊ गली everywhere has got same kind of food providers in one area.
Hmm.
There could be multiple classy restaurants in one zone itself, right? Therefore we flock into certain areas because it has got all pubbing culture and this and that.
Right.
That means competition is not what we are worried about.
Hmm.
Competition is not the space. The how do you differentiate? So
Exactly.
therefore I am saying that idea is a great part, but idea can have too many competition. That is an acceptable thing.
Hmm.
It is the quality of founder, their team, their integrity to the purpose, and their ability to sell and to have a very strong sales and technology team.
True.
These are 5 tiers. ये आप मुझे ठीक करके दे दो, I would like to invest everything there.
Understood. Perfect, sir. I think that is a really insightful piece that you have shared, and I think a lot of our founder audiences would be very excited to hear that, and I'm pretty sure we'll get amazing feedback on it. Having said that, sir, thank you so much for your time today. It has been a pleasure. I know we've overshot the time by I think 5-10 minutes, but I think it was well worth it. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, Shreyas. I really enjoyed being with you this afternoon and would like
Likewise.
to have more opportunities to share with you what is happening new in the industry and what are the trends and so on and so forth. and
Definitely.
not through this platform alone, but I think we should just meet up to exchange a lot of information as to what's happening in the industry,
Definitely, sir.
and
Definitely.
yeah, just grow mutually together. Yeah, thank
Indeed.
you very much, and nice talking to you. Thanks for your time and having to call me, invite me here. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.